Thank you very much. Friends, 5 years ago I first came to this conference seeking to win the leadership of the party in Scotland. We just had our worst ever Scottish election result on the back of 2 decades of decline. As career moves went, the omens didn't look exactly ideal. We were being kicked around by our opponents. The media was calling us a corpse that wouldn't twitch, and that was on a good day. But conference, you always kept the faith. And when I argued that we could win again as Conservatives, you granted me the privilege of allowing me to lead. We weren't being credited with much of a chance in the way of prospects, but we had our values, and we had heart, and we had belief. And 5 years on, I'm here to give you the good news that the Scottish Conservatives are back as a fighting force once again. More than double our number of MSPs, leapfrogging Labour and consigning them to third for the first time in 6 decades, standing up to the SNP. Standing up to the SNP and being the strong opposition that Scotland so desperately needs. From the borders to Banff, we are showing that there is another way, a better way, one which seeks not to stoke division or split our country, but one which knuckles down and gets on with the job. And conference, we're not done yet. Not by a long shot. Next year, every council seat in Scotland is up for grabs. And we will deliver the best Conservative result since devolution. And we won't be satisfied until we have Conservatives in and working on the ground in every community in Scotland. It's not leaders that turn a team around. It's not a leader that turns results around. It's the teams that we build. And I am so proud of the team that we are building in Scotland. The torch is passing to that next generation. Give them a cheer. In Parliament, we've now got everyone from Olympic athletes to university professors, soldiers, farmers, teachers, third sector workers, and we want that same spread from every walk of life in our town halls too. We're not hiding any more, conference. We are out and proud, and we are winning support in all parts of Scotland. And I'm aware how Scottish politics can sometimes look. You see Nicola Sturgeon on the television most weeks telling you that Scotland is up in arms, again, threatening the break-up of Britain, asserting that independence is closer now than ever before, declaring that separation is somehow inevitable. Well, today, speaking to people from across the UK, I want to make this clear. Don't believe a word of it. There is nothing. There is nothing inevitable about the break-up of this great nation, and I, for one, will fight it every inch, and so will thousands of Scots with me. Because the SNP doesn't speak for all of Scotland, and nor does it have the right to. Every nation is bigger than one party, bigger than one person. And Scotland is bigger, more varied, more complex than the nation that the SNP would like to pretend. So next time you see Nicola Sturgeon picking a fight or trying to claim that the United Kingdom is over, remember, she does not speak for the country. And when she threatens to put yet another divisive referendum back on the table, the nation is not behind her. She is not speaking for the majority, because the majority want us to move on. The majority have no wish to return to the divisions of the past. We want to seize the opportunities of the future. Most Scots have had enough. And they are telling her, for pity's sake, First Minister, let this go. And the problem is, of course, that the SNP isn't listening. Instead, they're determined to keep the divisions over the last few years alive. Now, I'm often accused by those same opponents, those ardent separatists, that I bang on about independence in the Union as much as they do. Well, for so long as the SNP keeps this alive, then so be it, because the Union matters so much. It matters for economic stability and jobs that our partnership brings. It matters for the defence and security of our country. It matters because of the common bonds we share right across the United Kingdom. And it matters perhaps even more so now that we are leaving the European Union. Now, you all know where I stood on the referendum in June. But I tell you this, I did not vote Remain to see my vote co-opted into a fresh SNP independence drive. And I can tell you something else. Whatever questions Brexit raises, none of them, not a single one, is answered by destroying our own Union of Nations. So I urge the SNP government, instead of focusing on a second referendum that isn't wanted, why not get back to the day job instead? And I say to the First Minister, instead of picking endless fights with Westminster about whatever grievance you've concocted, pick a fight with poor literacy and numeracy standards in Scotland's schools. Pick a fight with the health gap between our richest and our poorest communities. Pick a fight with the absence of mental health services for our young people. Pick a fight with the dealers who push the poisons of drugs on our streets. You are the government of Scotland, and you were elected to improve the lives of people of our country. That's the fight that matters, so get on with it. And be in no doubt that we'll be there watching you, pushing you, holding you to account, because the Conservatives are back where we belong, back in the mainstream of Scottish politics, and we are here to stay. But all around us, the sands of politics are shifting. Old certainties are being swept aside, old alliances are crumbling. And last week in Liverpool, it was there for all to see. The once broad church of the Labour Party had shrunk to a single rickety pew. The remaining true believers were belting out the hymns of yesterday: higher taxes, renationalisation, finding ever more ways to spend other people's money. But they were only preaching to the choir, because Labour, a party that once spoke to the hopes of a nation, now speaks to an ever smaller faction of itself. And genuinely, I don't think Labour has any idea how ludicrous it looks to the wider world. Last week, in a ghettoised women's conference tacked on to the front of their main event, speaker after Labour speaker rose to denounce the Prime Minister as not a real feminist. Harriet Harman declared that Theresa May is a woman, but she is no sister. Well, Harriet, while Labour was bathing in its own left-wing sanctimony, here's something you might have missed. Theresa May has broken barriers her entire life. The first female Conservative Party chairman, the longest-serving Home Secretary, male or female, since Henry Matthews in 1892, and only the second female Prime Minister in our country's history. And the thing is, Conference, that along the way she's helped women as she goes, increasing female participation in politics by setting up Women to Win, cracking down on domestic abuse and passing new laws on modern slavery, on female genital mutilation and on forced marriage. She has done more for women than any pink buses that Labour can launch. And right now, and this is important, right now, there are girls and young women across this country that are looking to number 10 Downing Street and who see that gender is no barrier to advancement and that with hard work, with application, with commitment, there is nothing that they can't do. What do the Conservatives do for women? We empower them to be leaders, and Theresa May is exactly what a sister looks like. Now, Conference, I know that the temptation to celebrate what could be the effective demise of Labour as a functioning political party, it is tempting and I do understand it. But it would be utterly wrong. Because the truth is that Labour's retreat from reality under Jeremy Corbyn has left millions of people across our country feeling disenfranchised. Ordinary people who don't expect miracles, just a job that pays fairly, a good local school, a neighbourhood that's free of crime and drugs. Labour has turned its back on these ordinary, decent people. So it's up to us to act. It is our job to show that we understand their anxieties, that we share their concerns, that we've got a plan to improve lives, and that we've got the conviction, the drive and the determination to see it through. And we mustn't do it to fulfil some cynical electoral tactic. Yes, of course we want their support at the ballot box, but much more importantly, we want to earn that most precious thing of trust. We need them to know that they have a voice that will be listened to, that when we speak, it is with them in mind, and that when we act, it is with their interests at heart. And we need to rise to this challenge, because that is what it is to be a truly national party. And we've made a good start. We can take pride in achievements so far from our 6 years in government. 2.7 million more people in employment, more than 700,000 off unemployment benefits, more than 500,000 fewer children in workless households, and what a fantastic figure that is. It is a solid record of achievement, and one recognised when the people of Britain chose to put their trust in the Conservatives at the last general election, with a majority government. But we must also understand that in the eyes of many people, these are just a list of statistics that bear no relation to their lives. Because for the last few years, they have felt that the system has simply stopped working for them. When the deck feels stacked against them. I'm a Conservative and I believe in hard work and just rewards, but let's be honest, too often these last few years, working hard just hasn't been enough. The want-to-work mother, trapped at home because she can't afford the cost of childcare. The older worker, out of a job or looking to change career, who hits an age barrier when it comes to training opportunities. The tenant, imprisoned in a drug-riddled neighbourhood, no way out and nobody there to help. They're not strangers to us. They're our neighbours, our families and our friends. These are people who do play by the rules, but it's still not enough. So, Conference, it is up to us to change those rules, to make sure that we have real equality of opportunity in this country, to drive social and economic mobility that we need. And that means tackling the causes of poverty, like poor education, addiction and dependency, not forever mopping up the consequences. It means a house-building revolution so couples in their 30s have the chance of buying their own home, not renting out forever. And it means being unashamedly pro-family, giving parents the support that they need to bring up their children so that they can do what every parent wants. That is ensuring a better life than they had for themselves. All of this is easy to say, and none of it is easy to do. But, Conference, you know the old saying, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, get a woman. And in Theresa May, we have a Prime Minister that I know who is absolutely determined to act, to face down these challenges. And she is just the woman for the job. And when I backed Theresa to be our new Prime Minister, I did so because I saw in her someone who had the experience, the understanding and the resolve to drive forward the change that we need. And when she first spoke from the steps of Downing Street on that morning on July the 13th, my faith in her was repaid in full. We will make Britain a country that works not for the privileged few, but for every one of us. That is noble, that is right, and that is true. And in the months and years ahead, it must be our guiding principle. More than that, it is our duty. In the absence of a functioning Labour Party, a rump of Liberals and an SNP that's more concerned with partition than policy, it is up to us to seize the centre ground and to act for all. At our best, the UK is a shining light of democracy, liberty and hope. And one of the reasons that I love this country so much, and I have fought so hard to keep it together, is because I know that it is a force for good in the world. I've seen up close British troops protect civilians in war. I've met Scottish charities who are working to make the world landmine-free. I've watched our businesses trade and support nations abroad, and I've seen our universities collaborate the world over to make vital breakthroughs in medical science. That strong, proud, virtuous internationalism that has so shaped our national character cannot be cowed by the challenges of the day. We are a great nation precisely because we support our allies, value our neighbours and shoulder our burden in the world. And I am proud of our past, but I firmly believe, that our best days still lie ahead. Now, Conference, that internationalism abroad must find its echo at home. We must not forget our own party's history and values. I once listened to Sir John Major tell of his childhood in Brixton, then an area where many new arrivals to Britain set up their first home. And he talked of his conservative values and those of his neighbours. And he said that there is nothing as conservative as pulling your loved ones close and striking out to build a better future for your family. So as we have difficult but necessary debates about how we manage borders and futures, let us not forget that behind discussions of numbers and rules and criteria, there lies people and homes and families. And for those who have already chosen to build a life, open a business, make a contribution, I say this is your home and you are welcome here. The Conservative Party I know is optimistic in spirit and it is an internationalist in outlook. We are an outward-looking people and so we must remain. Conference, I'm an old-fashioned Tory. I believe unself-consciously in God and country and community. I believe in personal freedom and personal choice and personal responsibility. I believe in small but effective government, in service, in duty, in decency, in Britain. We are about to enter a period of great upheaval, and there will be obstacles to overcome and orthodoxies to challenge, and yes, even some old thinking to be set aside. But the prize will justify the journey. And I want us to be able to look back 5 years from now and say, we did all that we could, and we did it for the right reasons. That we were guided by the values that we hold dear. To know that we reached out across this country, to every town, to every city and every community, to those who share our beliefs and those who don't. That we shone a light on darkness, that we brought hope, created opportunities and widened horizons. That we made lives better for those with little, and that everyone felt the country could work for them. Conference, that's why I'm in politics. It's why Theresa May is in politics, and it's why you are too. Not for my own ambitions or goals, but because I believe that it is our values, our mission and our beliefs that will make this country a better place. So our goals are clear. Our resolve is firm. And together, every one of us, let us get down to that work and build that better future. Thank you so much, Conference. Thank you.